On this week's episode of Music Marketing Monday, we cover the first of three important steps to music marketing. The first one, creating awareness. Very crucial to your success. So come on into the lounge, pull up a chair, let's have a chat.
Yeah.
Information, inspiration, motivation for the modern musicpreneur.
Time to start your week right.
Here it comes, Music Marketing Monday, with your host, Bob Baker,
Mr. Buzz Factor,
and Billy Gryzak.
the music marketing mind.
Ready? Are you sure?
Set.
Here it comes. Swing, baby.
Good Monday morning, everybody. Thanks for pressing play or downloading or whatever you did to get here. You found us. That's right, the podcast that gets you all revved up and ready to rock your week. On a Monday, it's Music Marketing Monday with the Music Marketing Mind, me, Billy Gryzak, and the godfather of music marketing, my buddy, my pal, Bob Baker. How you doing, Bob?
I'm doing fantastic. I love The Godfather. I'm going to have to start doing a Don Corleone, Marlon Brando thing, I guess, here soon.
There you go, man. You have to slick back. You know, if we go video one of these days, you know, you're going to have to slick your hair back, you know. Go, hey, I'm going to make...
Yeah, make you a music offer you can't refuse. See, no, I think that's more like a New Jersey or a Brooklyn. I don't know, kind of Godfather. I'm horrible with my accents.
All
I'll
right.
have to shove a bunch of cotton in my cheeks too if we ever do the video version, right?
That's funny. You know, we have tons of new subscribers, and I hear them unsubscribing as we're going. So.
Mass exodus, but
So,
but rise and shine here. It's the beginning of a new week, and we want you to get your week off started right. And we've actually, by the seat of our pants, we've actually planned the next 3 episodes in a row, which makes it a little bit easier for us, I suppose.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But anyway, last week, let's just do a quick recap. Last week, we talked about the evil empire of music marketing, and we'd asked everybody to do their homework, and their homework was to change your mindset in a very simple way.
Right, and to monitor your thoughts every time you find yourself referring to marketing as a necessary evil or, oh, God, I have to do this, reframe that into, oh, boy, now I get to share my music with more people, which makes it a lot more inviting, I think.
And actually, I asked people to refer to music marketing as
that's right.
making cookies.
So I wonder how many calories were gained over the past week from everybody.
Well, no, let's not talk calories. Let's talk fans.
That's right,
That's right.
So I guess, in this case, when you make cookies, instead of gaining pounds, you gain more fans.
Absolutely. So I hope everybody was out there baking all week and made some delicious cookies that attracted all those fans. I know that I had several people on the Facebook Music Marketing Mind group say, I'm making cookies. So I guess a few of you got it. So fantastic. Good job, everybody. You're doing your homework. So this week, this is something new for us. We're going to actually have a theme for 3 weeks, and you want to just go through, what we're going to do for the next these 3 episodes, and then we'll get started. All right.
Sure. So basically, it's based on the first chapter of the Guerrilla Music Marketing Handbook, which is called, I believe, the 3 Steps to Effective Music Marketing. And I covered them last week, but real quickly, the first step is creating awareness. Second step is building relationships with fans and then people in the industry. Step 3 is generating revenue. It's that whole sales aspect. And so we could actually easily spend, a full, day or week long seminar on each one, but I think each one deserves its own show. And so we're going to start off today talking about the creating awareness part of it, which is really, to me, I think it's the most obvious. It's the first thing people think of when it comes to marketing, is the whole getting your name out there thing, because before you can do anything else, you got to get on people's radars. You got to kind of get inside their heads and inside their consciousness, right?
Absolutely, and there's lots of different ways to do that. There's the face-to-face method. There's the internet method. There's the just the billboard type method. Lots of different ways you can go. So let's explore some of those.
Yeah, so let's just cover some of the ways. There are many ways. Let's just kind of point out what we're talking about here. We'll just kind of go back and forth and point out some things, and then I want to dissect a little bit about how to effectively create a awareness. But one is live performance. Anytime you can get in front of people live and playing your music, whether it's on the street or in a club or a coffee shop, that is creating awareness for the people that happen to come upon you.
And I'd like
What
to
else?
say something about that too. You know, do you remember a movie? I have movie metaphors every week. This must be my new thing. Remember last week we were talking about Office Space, right? Well, this week I'm going to
Star
talk.
Wars,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. Well,
Evil Empire.
this week I'm going to talk about Throw Mama from the Train. Do you remember that movie?
I do, but it's been a
All
while.
right.
Yeah.
Billy Crystal is an author, and his wife stole his book. So he ends up being like a writing teacher at a community college. And one of the things he tells his students at the end of every class is writers write always.
Hmm.
Writers write always. And you know what musicians and performers should do?
What's that?
They should be making music and performing always.
Always. That's cool. I can see your next book, Billy. It's everything I know about music marketing I learned from watching Throw Mama from the Train.
Yeah, that's a good movie. But what I'm saying is, you know, some people are always, you know, planning that big show, and there's, you know, time between shows and all that. But there are so many awareness opportunities to happen between the big show, and you could do a little acoustic unplugged shows. You could do little web shows. You could stand on the street corner near a big event. You know, I live right by Lambeau Field in Green Bay here. For $300, I can get a permit that will actually let me stand on stand right there by Lambeau Field and sing songs and sell CDs if I wanted to. There's an opportunity for awareness.
Yeah, and I think a lot of musicians need to expand their definition of what a live performance is. A lot of people think, my music is best suited for a full band and a light show and lasers and all this stuff. But you really need to expand that. And how could you play acoustically? How could you play as a solo? Maybe can you strip it down in some occasions to an acoustic duo or something, and then do the big band in another setting. But when you've got tunnel vision, it limits your exposure opportunities.
Absolutely, and in my opinion, there are tons of opportunities, but people just need to open themselves up to seeing
Right.
them and doing them.
So let's list some more
Yes.
types of awareness. This is really old school, but pinning up flyers and posters on billboards and telephone poles and wherever you can post them up. That's as old school as you can get, but that is creating awareness.
And one of the most important things you can do to create awareness with posters and flyers is figure out where your ideal fan hangs out. So if you're like a coffee shop performer, I would say a really good idea is to get some type of table tents, flyers, cards, whatever, and put them in the places that people go to, coffee shop people. Or if let's say you're a skater punk band, well, you should have your flyers and your posters up at like the sports shops and the places that deal with skateboards and things like that. Not just just on the sidewalk. Blindly target those posters a little bit. What do you think about that, Bob?
Oh, absolutely. And even though this may seem obvious, I think it's probably often overlooked. So let's just go ahead and state it anyway. But in the venue itself, you have to deliver posters weeks ahead of time and ask them, if they see that you're an active participant in marketing and getting people out, they should want to help you and give you prime placement for your, announcing your upcoming gigs or your regular. In fact, I was at a place, a local place where they have different musicians have house gigs there. Like every Monday night, our friend Jeff plays there at this place called Gulf Shores here in St. Louis. I don't know if it's a local place or a chain or whatever, but they had these huge posters for each night of the week with his photo, and they like part of the menu or whatever was advertising his, and so that's like brilliant. That was really a proactive venue. A lot of venues aren't that good at promoting the artists that play there. But yeah, work with the venue to promote your upcoming shows.
And actually, don't expect a venue to do the promotion. That you're just setting yourself up for disaster if you do. It's best to be proactive yourself and get out to the venue and say, hey, do you mind if I put the posters up in your place?
Right.
Because a lot of people will just send the flyers out, the posters, and then they'll show up to the gig, and you know what? They're still sitting over there by the cash register. They never put them up.
Right. And why aren't anybody here?
Exactly.
But creating awareness, again, it's a very broad category, but it also includes putting up your own website, putting up a Facebook page, all of the online properties where you can have a presence, where people can discover you. That's creating awareness. Anything else come to mind in this broad category, Billy?
Well, I saw the craziest thing. We have a the world's biggest music festival actually takes place right here in Wisconsin, and I usually headline down at the Family area every year. And I saw a band actually right on the side of their van, not like with professional signs or anything, but they actually had like, it's called car markers, I think, and they wrote all over their car, "We're playing Summerfest. Follow us to Summerfest."
Oh.
And they would drive around. Seriously, this is the coolest thing I ever saw. And they would drive around all over the Milwaukee with that van, and people would see it, and you had to notice it because it wasn't done professionally. It was just done in markers. It was so cool. And they drew pictures and everything. It says, "Follow us to Summerfest." And you got to tell you, man, they played what's called the Renegade stage, where it usually doesn't get a whole lot of people. But when those guys went out there, man, they were mobbed. "Hey, I saw your van, man. I saw your van."
It's cool.
Isn't that the coolest thing ever?
It is, and it's an example of like what I call shotgun marketing, where but you're going to be driving around in the car anyway, and so you're going to be exposed to a lot of people who don't care and not interested. But probably so many people will see it. The small percentage of people that are attracted to you, it's probably worth doing that if you don't mind having your vehicle look like that or spray painted or whatever.
Well, this stuff washes right off. That's why it's so cool.
Oh, okay, so it's not permanent, or
no? You put it on your car and it comes right off of water. I'm gonna do it myself this year. I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. That way you don't have to put permanent signs on your car.
Yeah, they get the vinyl things you can put on, like the magnetic things that you can take on and take off. Or
hey,
whatever.
those are great too. I've actually had people chase me through a parking lot when they saw my band sign, my vinyl signs, and asked me for business cards and book jobs just because they saw my vinyl signs on the vehicle.
Right.
A lot of people are nervous about putting like permanent vinyl on their band truck and stuff because they're worried about people breaking in and stealing because it says band on it.
Correct.
Music.
Good point.
But magnetics are great because you put them on when you want to, you take them off when you don't. It's pretty cool.
When you first said that they were driving around with a sign that said "Follow us," I was thinking that they were maybe trying to point people to Twitter, that people would misunderstand that and like start stalking them, physically following them. But I guess it works both ways.
Hey, whatever it takes, you're still creating awareness.
Right. And again, just broad brushstrokes of creating awareness. Publicity is a big way to do that. Whether it's a review in a newspaper, it could be exposure on a blog, getting your songs played on a podcast, on a college radio, community radio, even commercial radio. That certainly is publicity. So it's basically anytime you get your name, it's then getting your name out there aspect of marketing, and that is what creating awareness is. Now, I would like to pinpoint a couple of effective ways to do it. You kind of touched on it earlier. Are you ready for me to jump into that?
Yeah, man, you go.
I was going to say Mr. Billy, but we're going with Mr. Gryzak now, I believe.
You can call me Billy Gryzak, Mr. Billy, Mr. Gryzak, the music marketing mind, whatever you want. It's all good.
It all works out.
It all works.
So the two aspects that really make creating awareness effective, and you touched on it earlier by talking about targeting where you put your flyers, but one is clearly defining yourself as an artist. You have to sort of know who you are as an artist and know what type of, what you stand for, what your genre is, and have a unique or have a clear way of describing what you do so that when people are exposed to it, they know right away that, oh yeah, this is something I probably would be interested in, or no, I wouldn't. Because marketing is actually as much about eliminating people from your audience as it is attracting the right people. So you got to be really specific in describing who you are, but that starts with knowing who you are. And so that's one aspect. And two is having a clear idea of who your ideal fan is, as you mentioned earlier, so that when you do go, you have limited time and resources. So when you do spend time and money and effort on marketing, you want to do it in the places where your ideal fan is most likely to be hanging out, whether it's in a store or in a forum online or a website or whatever. So don't you agree those two factors are crucial?
Well, absolutely, and I don't know if we'll get into a debate or not here. I think you agree with me on what I'm going to say, but maybe not. I don't know, but I got to say that I believe that the number one reason for failure in the music business, and maybe actually in any business, really, is not knowing who it is you're trying to reach, not knowing who you're going to sell to, not knowing your target customer, your target audience, because if you don't know, who it is that you're selling to, how can you coordinate any of those other efforts at all.
It is, yeah. It makes it much harder. There are all sorts of ways to determine who that is. And there are many ways to describe them. One is gender; they tend to be more men or women. Age range, they fall in their 20s, 18 to 35 or whatever. But also an often overlooked way of describing your fans is mindset. What experiences they've had, their worldview, their political and social perspectives, and that determines where they're hanging out and where you can find them and where you can focus your efforts. As I like to use the word that you need to attract people who are predisposed to like your kind of music. And I love that word predisposed because there's something about them that makes them more likely than the average person to be attracted to what you do. That's who you're trying to create awareness with.
Yeah, and also I like to liken it to looking for friends as opposed to fans. And people that you really would like to hang out with because you have something in common. You know what I mean? I'll tell you about the biggest disconnect I've ever seen. I have a friend that has been playing forever, and he plays blues music, and he plays primarily biker events and biker bars and biker rallies and stuff like that. That's what he does, right? Mm-hmm. This guy doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, and doesn't own a motorcycle, and doesn't even really like the whole motorcycle culture, but for some reason that's what he's gotten into, and he's successful only because he's done it for so long. But I think he would be way more successful if he actually found a demographic that was more like himself. because he just can't get out there and be with the crowd. You know what I'm saying? There's not that he's just like us, we're just like him, that bond. So I think it's important that when, for instance, I just embarked on a crazy project. I'm a huge Star Trek fan. I am nuts. I have a memorabilia collection that I actually use as a marketing tool. I send it out on tours and stuff. And I just decided recently to do a Star Trek album, and I am finding all of the Star Trek nuts in the world are coming out of the woodwork. And not only am I saying, hey, I got a CD out, which is cool, but I'm having great conversations and making all new friends because I just found this whole group of people that I like hanging out with.
Right.
So
and you share a common interest, and
yes,
you know where to find these people because it's very specific. And I know most artists don't people just do love songs or pop songs. It's not that obvious to them. But I think you can still narrow it down. And you're right. Quite often, your ideal fans are just like you. So if for artists to go, I don't know who my fans are. Well, where do you go and find new music? What are your interests? Where do you hang out? And so I think it's figure outable, as they say.
So really, what we're talking about here is the first step to creating awareness. If I understand, is first, you need to know who you are, and secondly, you need to figure out who that ideal fan is, and then you can go about the business of getting your name out there the right way.
Right. Yeah. So when you know who you, and then I guess an additional sort of byproduct of those two steps, when you know who you are as an artist, and when you know who your fan is, the next kind of, along with that is being able to describe your music so it accurately depicts you. And when that fan hears that description or sees a reference to it, they're going to know, oh, yeah, I'm going to like that. As opposed to, undefinable music or music that defies definition. Nobody knows what that means. So you have to communicate it in a way that people will go, oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, or worse, being undefinable. If there is one thing that's worse.
What's that?
Our music is for everyone.
Yeah. Yes, so these are some of the big mistakes to avoid. So,
so there you go. So what's our homework going to be this week?
Well, it would be, we're jotting down some notes. So who are you as an artist? What phrases, what terms can you use? I talk about often over the years this brand identity statement. It's a short sentence, so maybe 15 words or less, that describes who you are and what you do. I mean, it was part of my classes. In fact, you used one for your kids' music, if I remember right, where you referenced other well-known things that people were. But you describe your music as, if I remember right, it was the E Street Band meets the Sesame Street Band at a Kiss concert.
Yeah, you use that in all your lessons and stuff. I've noticed that.
Yeah, it was a great one because people, when you read that, you go, oh, yeah, East Street, Sesame Street, Kiss. It's kids' music, but it's got a rock and a classic rock kind of slant.
Yep, and it's showy. Yeah, exactly. So there you go. That's what I do.
And so people who read that will go, oh, I'm cool. Parent will go, oh, I would love to expose my kids to this rock and roll music that I love too. And so that's to define who you are as an artist, define who your ideal fan is, make a little profile. They call it an avatar in the internet marketing world. Which is basically, even though not everyone fits this mold, if you kind of have in your mind a visualization of the ideal fan, and you direct all of your communications to that type of person, that's going to help you focus a lot more. So,
sounds great. Okay, so everybody have your homework. You made cookies last week.
Right.
This week, you're going to get yourself a new suit.
That's right.
Dress yourself up.
Cupcakes maybe this week.
Cupcakes. There you go. And next week, we are going to be talking about building relationships. Yeah, you said it with me. That was pretty good. Relationships.
I wasn't sure if I was finishing the sentence or we were going to be, doo-wopping together.
Well, let's say it together. 1, 2, 3.
Building
relationships.
We'll work on that. We're not ready for synchronized swimming yet.
Not yet. Okay.
We're getting there.
So that sounds great. Now, I know that you have an exciting thing going on right now. You're have a new product service that you're offering, and before we run out, I just want to talk about it. And I have a reason for bringing this up, is because tell them what you're doing, and then I'll jump in with my little. I'm going to make this work with this week's topic. Okay,
cool. So for years I've been giving advice on internet marketing and also how to create an effective website. And as part of my different consulting things, I've given people feedback on their websites, but I've never offered that service specifically. So I'm kind of testing the waters with a website critique service. And so if you go to thebuzzfactor.com and click, actually you'll find it in the right hand column. There's a little image that'll take you to it, or just go to the blog tab, and it should be one of the most recent blogs about how to get your get a music website critique. And I will create a 15-minute kind of screencast video where I go through your site and dissect it and tell you what's right, what's wrong, my suggestions on how to make it better, so you attract more fans, sell more music, whatever your goals are. And the normal rate's going to be $97, but I got an introductory rate of $75. But I'm only taking a limited number of people.
Wow.
I'm not accepting everyone, so jump on it if you're interested.
Now, the reason I brought this up is it's really great to know who your fans are. It's really great to know who you are, and it's great to get your name out there. But honestly, guys, if you don't have a place to send them that's your own, that's like mistake number 2. So if you don't already have a website and with your own domain name, you need to do that right away. That's like one of the very first orders of business, because you need to send people to a place that you own, that you control, and that works for you. And we can get into this on another episode. This is a whole episode, but I just wanted to bring that up. If you're going to be figuring out who your target audience is and figuring out who you are, and you're going to start getting your name out there and sending people somewhere, where are you going to send them? You're going to send them to your website. So if you have a website already, check out Bob's service. It sounds incredible, and it's cheap too, very inexpensive.
Right, yeah, it is for the time I'm going to put into it.
Yeah, that's way
each one.
That's just way too inexpensive, Bob. Anyway, well, I have since you asked, Bob, let me tell you what I'm doing.
What are you doing, Billy?
I'm actually doing something really exciting. I have there's a new service called Concert Window. Are you familiar with it?
I am not.
Okay, concertwindow.com is a service where people can broadcast either a laptop concert, like an acoustic guitar concert, or a full band concert on the internet, and people buy tickets, and they watch your show live. It's not recorded. It's a one-time only event, streamed, and you can interact with the band or the performer while they're performing, ask questions. You can give them a tip if you want. You can. It's really awesome. But what I'm doing. And I'm actually, by the time this airs, I'll have actually done 2 of these. But later today, when we air here on the, what would that be, the 8th, this is going to air, I think. Is that right?
So I think that actually maybe more like the 10th.
Oh, the 10th. I'm sorry, on the 10th. Yeah. So you're listening to this on the 10th, most likely if you're listening at the beginning of the week, and we hope you do. At 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I'm actually going to be doing a iPad recording workshop. Because a lot of people don't know it, but one of the reasons I record so many CDs is I'm always recording all the time. I've got my iPad with me, and I'm doing a lot of my recording that actually ends up on my CDs right on my iPad. So a lot of people have been asking me if I would do iPad workshops on how to record with GarageBand on iPad. So I'm actually offering that as a concert window event. So that's something interesting I've got going on.
That's cool. So it sounds like Stage It for workshops. There's a website called Stage It where you.
Well, it's just like Stage It, but it's way easier to use and it's way user friendly for the fans, for the concert goers, and for the artists. And to the best of my knowledge, I'm the only person that's actually doing workshops and webinars and seminars on it. Everybody else is just singing. So,
Oh, wow.
so
Cool,
it's kind of
cool.
interesting. So that'd be at you go to concertwindow.com and look for the Music Marketing Mind or Billy Dryzak iPad recording workshops, and I'll probably be doing at least one or two of these a week every week from now on. So check them out.
That's very cool. Congratulations on doing that.
Thank you.
So I think we probably these get longer and longer every week.
I know. I'm sorry about that, folks. Sorry about that, Bob. Okay, real quick, where can we reach you?
Oh, yeah, thebuzzfactor.com is really the best way, and I'm Mr. Buzzfactor, MR Buzzfactor on Twitter.
Great, and I'm at Music Market Mind, or that's Twitter, or Music Marketing Mind is my website.com, musicmarketingmind.com. All right, well, we better go because we got to go out there and figure out who we are and who our target audience is.
That's right. I got some cookies to finish eating and some cupcakes to make now.
Yeah, I gotta make some cupcakes.
So we'll be back next week to talk about that all important, often overlooked step of building relationships, but focus on creating awareness this week, and then we'll get to the next step after that.
Oh, and don't forget hashtag. What is it?
Music MM.
Music MM. Hashtag Music MM. We really want to hear from you, and we really want to talk about you and promote you when we talk about you. So post some stuff up on Twitter, folks. That's it for today. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, so long. See you next week on the Music Marketing Monday.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, gosh.